You've been told you're too sensitive your whole life, and somewhere along the way, you started to believe them. You feel things in a room before anyone opens their mouth. You walk into a space and something in your chest already knows what's about to happen, and it's made you feel broken when really it's made you marked. Most people think anointing looks like a stage, a microphone, a crowd with their hands raised, but real anointing, the kind the enemy actually loses sleep over, usually looks like exhaustion, loneliness, being misunderstood by the very people who were supposed to get you. You've prayed for peace and gotten attacked harder instead. And quietly, in the part of your heart you don't show anyone, you've wondered if God forgot about you. He didn't. What you're carrying is rare, and rare things always cost something. Today I'm going to show you 7 things, and if even 3 of these are true about you, I need you to stay until the very end. Because what I'm about to say is going to put language on something you've felt for years and never had the words for. Here's the first one. You feel spiritual atmospheres before anyone says a word. There was a woman in our church, I won't use her name, who could walk into a room and her stomach would drop before any conflict ever showed up on the surface. People thought she was dramatic, they'd roll their eyes. She's just sensitive. But 3 separate times, within an hour of her saying something felt off, a fight broke out, or someone confessed something they'd been hiding, or a relationship in the room quietly fell apart right in front of everyone. 3 times. That's not drama. That's discernment doing exactly what it was built to do. 1 Corinthians 12 tells us that the Spirit gives some people the ability to discern between spirits not as a curse, not as an inconvenience, but as a gift, given on purpose, for the good of everyone around them. So if you've ever walked into a room and felt the temperature change before a single word was spoken, that's not you being unstable, that's you being equipped. What if the very thing you've been trained to suppress your whole life is the exact thing God built you to carry? You weren't designed to ignore what you sense, you were designed to steward it. That sensitivity to the unseen connects directly to the second thing you need to hear. Your prayers get interrupted by random, intense resistance. I went through a season, and I mean this literally, where every single time I sat down to pray, something would hit me out of nowhere. Sudden exhaustion, a wave of irritation at nothing. My mind pulled in 6 directions at once. It happened so consistently that I started to think prayer just wasn't for me anymore, like I'd lost whatever made it work before. I said that to an older man in my life, someone who'd walked with God longer than I'd been alive, and he looked at me and said something I have never forgot. He said, "Son, that's not coincidence, that's resistance." And he took me to Daniel chapter 10, where an angel tells Daniel that from the very first day he set his heart to seek understanding. His prayer was heard, but the answer was delayed 21 days because of opposition in the unseen realm. 21 days of a battle Daniel never even saw happening. Here's what that means for you. The static you feel when you try to pray, the exhaustion, the distraction, the sudden urge to do anything else that is not always a sign your faith is weak. Sometimes it's the loudest evidence that your prayer is dangerous to something. What if the resistance you feel every time you try to pray is actually proof of exactly how much your prayer is worth? That kind of resistance doesn't stay hidden in your prayer life forever. It starts showing up somewhere else too, in your relationships. And here's the third thing. People misread your discernment as judgment or distance or coldness, when really, you're just seeing something they're not ready to see yet. I knew a man sharp, quiet, the kind of person who didn't say much, but when he did, it landed. He had this way of knowing things about people before they ever revealed themselves. Not gossip, not suspicion, just knowing. And instead of people feeling loved by that, a lot of them felt exposed. They pulled away. He lost friendships, good ones, not because he was wrong about what he sensed, but because being seen accurately is uncomfortable for people who are used to hiding. Jesus warned his own disciples about exactly this. In John 15, he tells them plainly that if the world hated him, it would hate them too, because the world doesn't recognize what it doesn't understand and what doesn't come from it. So if the truth in you has ever cost you a relationship, if being right has ever made someone walk away instead of walk closer, that is not proof you did something wrong. That's proof you were seeing clearly in a moment where someone else needed you to see less. And I know that hurts more than people admit. Has being right ever cost you something you didn't expect it to cost? Sit with that for a second, because that ache tells you something about what you're actually carrying. This is exactly the spot where most people quit. They get tired of being misunderstood, tired of being the one who feels too much and says too much truth, and they shrink back down to a version of themselves that's easier for everyone else to be around. So before we go any further, let's pause right here for a second. If this is already hitting something in you, hit subscribe right now. Not for me, for the version of you that's tired of feeling alone in this. There's a whole community of people walking through exactly what you're walking through, learning to carry what they were given instead of apologizing for it. And before you keep watching, do something with. Type this in the comments right now, wherever you are. Lord, I receive what you placed in me. I will stop apologizing for it. Don't just read it. Type it. Let it be the first declaration of what's about to shift in you. Okay, let's keep going because the next thing might be the hardest one to hear and the most freeing. Number 4, you go through seasons of unexplainable spiritual attack right before your breakthrough. I remember a season where everything fell apart at once. Finances, a relationship, my health, sleep. All of it stacked on top of each other in the same few months, and at first I read it as punishment. I thought, God's done with me. I thought I'd messed something up so badly that this was the consequence. But looking back now, I see it for what it actually was. Job didn't lose everything because God turned away from him. He lost it because something was terrified of who he was about to become on the other side of it. Job chapters 1 and 2 show us a man under attack, specifically because heaven had already marked him as blessed, as righteous, as dangerous to the enemy's plans. The timing of an attack often tells you more than the attack itself. If the chaos hits right when you're about to take a step forward, that's not random. That's resistance with perfect timing. So ask yourself something uncomfortable. What if the chaos in your life right now isn't a sign that you're losing? What if it's a sign that something is closing in, fast, trying to stop you before you get somewhere it can't follow you? And if you've survived that kind of season, if you're still standing after everything that tried to take you out, there's one more thing that's probably true about you. Number 5, you carry peace in situations that should be breaking you. I think of a woman I know who got a diagnosis that would shatter most people. And somehow, in the middle of it, she had a calm that didn't make sense to anyone around her. Her own family kept asking her, "How are you not falling apart right now?" Her doctors noticed it too. It wasn't denial. It wasn't pretending. It was something steadier than the circumstances around her had any right to produce. Philippians 4 tells us about a peace that surpasses understanding, and that phrase matters more than we usually give it credit for. Surpasses understanding means it doesn't make sense from the outside. It can't be explained by your situation because it isn't coming from your situation. That peace is evidence. It's the anointing operating in you even when nothing around you has changed yet. So let me ask you this. Has your calm ever confused people who expected you to fall apart? That confusion isn't an accident. That's data about what's actually living inside. So if even 3 of these were true about you, the way you feel a room before anyone speaks, the resistance that hits the moment you try to pray, the relationships that cost you something because you saw too clearly, the chaos that hit right before your breakthrough, and the peace that doesn't make sense to anyone watching you hear this. Anointing doesn't look like a stage. It never did. It looks like the exhaustion you've been carrying quietly for years, the same exhaustion you walked into this video with. You are not too sensitive. You are not too much. You are not broken, and you were never cursed. You are marked, and marked people get tired. Marked people get tested. Marked people get misunderstood by the very people who were supposed to understand them best. None of that was ever proof that you failed. It was proof of what you were carrying the whole time. Before you go, type this in the comments, a different declaration than before. Type, "I declare, I am not cursed, I am chosen, and I will stop shrinking." Let that be the thing you carry out of this video. And if anyone watching this needed to hear it as much as you just did, send it to them. Not as self-promotion. Send it because someone you know has been calling themselves broken their whole life, when really, they've just been waiting for someone to tell them the truth that what they carry, the enemy has always been afraid of.